Wasted all the good surprises on you. No
on.
counting. You just went live.
No, we went live, and then I'm going to go right into this. There it is, kids. We're in it. Let's go.
Did you ever watch? Well, you watched the Best Hour of Their Day, obviously.
Who?
Who are those guys? They had Denise Thomas on, and they played the song. And
who is joining them, by the way?
Oh no, shit! Good for
the team. Yeah,
well done. That's cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
They're tight.
They. I'm not sure if it's probably just seminar stuff, and I don't know. So anyway, they played the song. They played their intro, which used to be sort of like this one, and I think it was like freebie. Now they've since like had somebody mix them a really good one. But it was like very jarring, and they played it, and she like jumped, and Fern was like, "You all right, DT?" And she's like, "Every time your song gets me, every time."
Every time.
She's the best. What I was gonna say is, I bet you, and you know this because you work with him, Ackerman is like, they make fun of him and stuff, but I gotta believe like he's probably gotta be one of the most enjoyable people to work with.
I love conversations with him.
Yeah,
I love hanging out and chatting with him. He's so much fun, and he's
like when he interviews people, like he's such a damn good interviewer.
He's it's funny, like on some of the like every Monday there's like it's like a Monday motivation call where they're like, hey, if you're in the program, jump on. I think even some people that have graduated from the program jump on, and it kind of kicks off like, hey, jump on, tell me who you are, what affiliate you're from, and what's your win for the week. And it's just the first 40 minutes is just all these affiliates like going through their wins for the week.
Yeah.
And he kind of leads the call. And he's so good at like he has a way of just like every single person that has something to say, like he connects with it.
Yeah.
Like he's such a
there's such an emotional intelligence, like there's such a depth of emotional intelligence in there, and sort of humility, but also confidence, and he knows like and expertise, and like and his willingness to like just cut right to the chase on things. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've known Fern a really long time, and that guy is pretty phenomenal too. It's just like a different type, but I feel like if you don't know them, or like maybe on the surface it might seem like, God, Ackerman must be kind of tough to work with, like he just seems so disorganized and he's all over the place and he's goofy, and it's like, well, that's a little bit of shtick, but the simple fact is people join them and don't go and don't leave,
right?
You know, so it's like,
does their relationship and their repartee remind you of anyone?
Yes and no. I mean, we are there's a difference.
But I feel like people probably think that of us. Of like, I feel like they thought that of me. Is it's just like, how does he get anything done? But then like Jack's the straight man, but he's like the straight man, but he's like, but it's like everyone plays off each other so well, and so what makes it work. And like Fern sometimes comes off as like the straight man, but like no, Fern's like really clever and he's smart, and he has this dryness to him that it comes off as like I don't know. Anyway, they're both great. I don't know. I can't say enough about them. This could be maybe eventually we'll have them on. It'll be my appreciation.
Well, you could ask is like your graduation present is that they come on and we chat, and because I would like to get like I think the context of that, or the structure of that would be like, all right, put Eric on the hot seat. Like, was the 2 years worth it? Or sorry, 1 year. Was the year, you know, how did he do? Like how, and then Eric, like how did you do? Right? Like in the sense, like how did they do for you? And it would be kind of cool to see them do it. And I'd be very interested. And to tell you the truth, like I don't even need to be on it. I can just watch it. I could be in the background if you wanted. Because I am not a part of the affiliate anymore. So no, it's
you.
Go ahead.
I'll say you initiated, and I think it was because I remember before we had talked about. I think it was like almost like a year before we had talked about, and I always wondered, like, and I can't remember if I've said this to you or not. Like a year before, you kind of mentioned like whether it was Best Hour or Two Brain. It's like, you know, kind of looking into, do we work with one of these kind of mentorships or these business mentorships, and because we were good. Like again, as a business, I feel like it's always been a solid business, but like, what could we be doing differently? And I always wondered, like, had we done that a year earlier, would you have still change your mind? Would something have changed? Would we still be owning the affiliate together, or this was just something that was? I mean, I always said I knew it was something that was bound to happen eventually, because that was always kind of on your.
I read too many anti-capitalist books.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a part of the system. I don't want to buy anything. I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to sell anything bought. I don't want to sell anything made or bought. I don't want to make anything bought or sold. I don't want to. You know where this is from?
No.
Say anything. John Cusack, when he goes to the when he goes to the dinner, when he goes to
I was like, this is
he goes to the and the dad's like, what's your future, Lloyd? What's your plan? And he goes, so I'm going to be a professional kickboxer.
Yeah.
It's the sport of the future.
Yes. I'm sitting there thinking, like, he's not being serious, I don't think. So
nah, it's still, I mean, I'm still in that process of like, how do you get to a place where you stop trading your time for money? That's where I am.
You stop trading your time for money.
Mm-hmm. That is of no longer is that of value to me, mm-hmm. personally and emotionally. And so, and listen, like, I don't have an answer. I don't know how you don't do it, especially in the world that we live in. Like, but I'm in a position for the next year, like next 13, 14 months to be able to not have to. I mean, in a sense, I kind of been trading my time for money in the sense that I'm getting paid by the VA or the GI Bill, getting paid, but it's an entitlement to go to school. But there's something else of transactional value that is being, right? Like I put in my time, but I'm getting knowledge, maybe ? Experience, and I'm not paying for it.
Yeah,
taxpayers, VA, though that's not even really, like, they've already been funded, and so the money's are anyway. It's like a more nebulous, disassociated sense of like the complete like one-to-one transaction. That's the part that I'd be interested to figure out how you can change the dynamic of that one-to-one time for money, because that was something that I just did not want to be a part of anymore. But yet I'm not, like, that's what I mean. It's process. I'm not done like figuring out like, okay, well, what does that look like? And is it just a shift in the narrative? Do you just change like what the value is? Like, you know, right now money is the power, but can you somehow transform that money into something else experientially? Maybe, I don't know. So
it's funny. I don't know if I ever think of it as a time for money thing until I actually have to like dig into the money. You know, like, I don't know. Like, it very much is that, right?
Yeah, it's 100%. Like
it's absolutely what this is. We are offering a service, and people pay us money for their service. And I'd like to think that this, not like to think, I mean, this is, you know, it puts food on the table essentially.
That's
not
funny.
as much food as Megan's, but you know.
And by the way, like, this is a great, I didn't even know, I didn't do this on purpose.
No,
but you just like kind of bridged us into what you wanted to sort of talk about, like the idea of value, but like value as a sense of quantitative. What is the value of the gym membership? To me, that's what it seemed like your question was when you were kind of pitching this beforehand.
Yeah.
What is it, backstage? We call it backstage now.
I like backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which, like you said, kind of goes right into it. My short answer is me. I'm the value.
I mean, in a sense, you are. That's and that is the affiliate you idea, is that like the first thing you have to do is make sure that the ship is sound, that it floats, right? That you don't have major leaks in the hull that are gonna put it on the bottom of the ocean. The engines run. You know, we could run with this metaphor all day long.
All day. So I just want ocean and not creek, but of course, it wouldn't sink very far in the creek.
I'm stuck in the mud.
Not as far as that 25-pound plate sank, but you know.
One of the boys mentioned it recently or whatever, and I was like, too soon. I think it was Josh, and he goes, Dad, it's been like 3 years.
My God,
Let
I
it
still
go.
can't. I still like. It's funny, like if I knew that it wasn't going to cost me a nice little chunk of change on a plate, I would totally test out to see
Like
could I
where
make it happen exactly the way it happened again. I could probably do it 1,000 times. It wouldn't happen.
right, they come in and people come in and be like, Eric, where are all the 25s? Don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And because you're out there, you're just like rolling them plate after plate and like, I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna try it again.
Especially like if you could have seen how close it came. Like had it just hit the tire on that rig, we would not have been short that plate.
Talk about it.
How close it came. I mean, it had to have brushed it.
Yeah.
And then rode on the edge of that track for a good 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah.
I was like, it would never.
Anyway,
that was something
beautiful. Anyway, so at some point though, you have a sound ship the first 6 months of that Affiliate U business, but then the next 6 months is all about the coaching. Yeah. And the what did they at first they called it product, or they were calling it coach development, and then they called it product development, and then
I think they went back. Yeah,
back to coach development,
product development, back to coaching development.
Right, because that's a little too close to the truth, and people don't like being called a product. Feels a little servitude-ish,
capitalistic.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's it maybe it removes the veil of the icky transactional nature. But and even like talent development feels like a little bit further away, but like still kind of icky. But coaching development, like coaching is a profession. I'm a professional development. Like, oh, that totally makes sense. And the more developed I am, the more value I can offer, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think like calling like product development or even like talent something, it's just kind of like it's trying to gussy it up for no reason. Like,
well, I would say it's the opposite. Like than gussing it up. Like gussing it up meaning like making it seem more fancy than it is. What I'm saying is you don't actually want to know the processes by which you are able to purchase and consume things at a certain cost, right? Yeah. If you actually had to pay for what it costs to bottle water would be like 15 times the price of gas.
Right.
Because of just the chain cost. And I don't know if that's true exactly the number, but it would definitely be worth more. There's no way you should be able to buy a $5 hamburger and fries and milkshake at McDonald's. That should easily be if you actually paid for the cost that product imparts on the system. That should be a $45 hamburger, French fry, and milkshake. Yeah. So like that's what I mean as far as the veil or the illusion of cost to product. The gap in there is sort of our perceived value of what we're getting. And that's a narrative that can be shifted depending on who wants to sort of drive the market, the narrative. So the second I start calling coaches the product, it pisses off the coach. And it makes the person being coached feel as if like, oh, well, I'm just purchasing this person.
Right.
That feels a little icky.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have cultural baggage with that.
Yeah. Purchasing people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it does it like just under the surface, but not far enough under the surface that I can ignore it. And so that's the part where like you kind of want to put that back under the surface and just say, hey, it's coaching development, because the coaches are the means by which you are given a value or a service or an experience.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure you have the best experience possible.
No.
All of that is true. And right? Like that's what I'm saying before, when I mentioned before, like none of that is good or bad. It's just the nature of the system in which, like, if we could do this for free because we're all on some universal basic income, I would do it in a second. maybe, I don't know. But like the fact that there is a transactional cash for time to me starts to feel as if there are unshared or unequally shared expectations by the different participants, by both me on the offering of the service side and the customer on the receiving of the service side.
Yeah.
And so that's the part where I personally haven't figured out how to make that work. But for the sake of the Affiliate U conversation and coming back to it, that's where I would say, oh, it's interesting that I wonder what it was that they shifted away from calling it product development to, or talent, whatever they called it, to
product development,
back to coach development. Because in the end, if I'm offering what I think the value of the gym membership is, it's the opportunity to have a professional offer you immediate feedback to your experience that at a price point that if you wanted equitable or equal service, you should be paying, in the price range of $100 to $150 an hour. Like that's and nobody actually wants personal training, right? Like unless, because even people that do personal training are like, more than 1 or 2 times a week. And this, I'm not sure. I'm sure there are some people out there.
I feel like a lot of people that do personal training, it's accountability thing. Like,
right.
For price to have this person make sure that I do it.
Mm-hmm. And so they don't actually want like another human being like, good rep, one more, you can do it, right? Like it starts to get a little weird. And that's what I'm saying. That may not be everybody, but in my experience, most people don't want an hour. They think they want an hour, but 30 minutes is more than enough.
Yeah.
And they don't want it every day. Once a week, twice a week is more than enough. And then some sort of plan, outside of that they, again, like you said, are accountable to it. So the small group, coach-led, curated class environment at basically like, $10 to $15 a class price point is still the CrossFit sort of business model magic. Yeah. And you get results, you can see tangible results that are on par or exceed sort of that personal training. To me, that's what makes it worth it. So how do you?
I mean, would say like, maybe even saying $10 to $15 a class. I mean, we're gonna just hone it in a little bit more there, and say it's more like $8.50 a class. Like,
well, so what? So you go, it's $225 a month.
Yeah, if you're going month to month, $225 a month. Let's say you go 4 times a week. Yeah, I mean that.
But statistically, what percentage of your membership is going 4 times a week?
Probably about 60% or so, 60 to 70%.
Okay. So you have 16. Yeah. What's the committed club again? 15, 16?
14 classes.
14. Yeah. So you have 60 to 70% of the membership is making the committed club each month. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty good. So you're right. So 14 divided by, did you do 225?
So 225 divided by 14. There you go. $16. $16
a class.
Yeah. There you go. So
I've done this before.
I was doing on days available. So if Sunday's closed, there's about 20. So you can say there's about 26 classes a month. Right,
but you got to do it. You got to do it from the customer's perspective.
Right.
Because that's the part of like when I go to buy that $5 hamburger, I'm not thinking about what should the hamburger cost. I'm thinking, dude, $5 hamburger, I could get this for $3 at 7-Eleven. Right. Like I'm thinking of only the value. I'm only thinking of the quantitative price, not the value of the experience.
Yeah.
Like and so, well, should I just get a punch card? Cause I'm only going so many days a week, blah, blah, blah. Like, is that really worth it to me? God, you know what? Like $16 a month, or $16 a class, $225 a month. Like shit, I could, if I just, get a $30 a month lifetime membership and then just drop in once or twice.
Lifetime is actually way more expensive.
Yeah, I keep saying that. I have no idea.
All right, it's actually like 180. I was looking.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's actually way more expensive than I realized. So, but anyway, but they're pretty bougie. It's pretty bougie.
Well, in a sense, though, that makes your market even better.
Yeah.
Right, because they go in there and it's like paying $180 a month for what? Like,
right.
No one's gonna talk to you. You get a nice towel. Fuck,
I have a sauna.
I'll wash some towels. They have a sauna.
We have a sauna from July through September.
And mosquitoes. I mean, I have a sauna, and you get free blood work.
I should surely get the bucket of doom for the gym too. Never mind.
The mosquito bucket of doom. So how do you translate that to yourself? Like, what is the value of when that person comes in and is like, yeah, man, I'm not coming enough, and I got a lot coming up. I'm thinking about you just put my shit on hold.
So I think
because once they go on hold, they ain't coming back.
You just triggered me, man. You just triggered me.
You're the one who wanted to talk about this.
Man, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. All right, hold on. Process. What is the?
It's not personal, man. They're not walking away from you.
Yeah, which I've constantly told all the time. I was like, don't take it personal. I was like, but I do take it personal because
it feels personal.
It feels personal because like when you put as much time and effort and thought and no one, unless I really wanted to open it up and say, you really want to see like how much this consumes me on a day-to-day basis. But I also don't want people to stay out of guilt because then they'll be like, then they'll be miserable.
Right. And it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. Yeah. So like putting a value on it comes down to, when we came up with like the $90 an hour, that felt like that's kind of like the going rate for personal training, like the area. Right. But not to knock, like one of my, let's say Sarah, who's been coaching for a year. I have 10 years experience. I have 9 years experience on her. Should I be charging the same amount of personal training for someone who has just as much? And you could put it on paper and experience on how much experience she actually has, but really kind of like you said, it comes down to the experience of the person taking it. And so I think that's where we're trying to figure out the value of what it's worth is what is the experience worth to somebody. So when that person comes in, I could easily just go up there as a drone. Here's the warm up. Here's the workout. Here's the skill. See you tomorrow. Done. And I could probably put a nice little price point on that. And I'm sure there are people, and you've seen them. They just want to show up, do their thing. They don't even care about the score. Go home. See you tomorrow. But so much of it is trying to figure out like it's the experience, not just the coaching thing itself. And then you can put that up. So maybe you can help me walk through this thought process of like, how do you actually put that value on it? Hey, hold on. Andy Hunt, can you discuss why personal training should be covered by health insurance?
What the fuck? Am I a doctor? I don't know.
It's a whole different topic.
Who the hell is that guy?
Andy Hunt.
Right now, he's so mad. He's like, "Screw you, man! I'm not going to ask any more questions. Okay, if you don't like my questions, I'm not going to ask any more questions."
He's trying to find out if he can get paid by like Medicaid or something.
No, he's totally right. Right, like that's. Yeah. I mean, sheesh. I mean, that is a totally different topic, but that's a legit topic of that's the healthcare or health sick system. So I mean, right, like that's what Glassman's face red, droopy eyes, face red, droopy eyes, face red, droopy, he's crying. You're the best. I love it. I love you, man.
I'm Seriously. So glad you're here every week.
But like that, so his question is spot on. Like, Is there a way to convey that? I guess what I would ask back to you is, what are you willing to hear from someone when they say to you, yeah, this just isn't worth it to me anymore? Like, do you want to push them to know the truth? Like how much transparency do you want back from that person? Because that's going to maybe define the the question that you ask them back.
Well, yeah, I want to know what, if it doesn't make it worth it, why not? What is it? Is it coaching? Is it they don't think they're seeing results? Is it
so why not is a very aggressive, right? Why not is a very aggressive question. That you, in a sense, like you're kind of accusing them of like, well, why not? Right? Like why? That it's their fault. Whereas what you immediately did after you said why not was you actually went to more interrogative questions of, well, what is it that would be of value to you? And then rather than offer them like a menu list of like drop downs, just leave it, like open it. Yeah, because you don't really know. Like, and now all of a sudden, and here's the deal. Can you let go of an expectation that you're going to get them back to yes to stay? Can you honestly, like, they're already gone.
So for the most part, I think it's one of it's had that asking that question of, you know, asking that question of what is it that you're what is it you're looking for? And so what is it that you're looking for? And so, because for some people it's as simple as, well, they want yoga. Well, I don't offer that. I don't plan on offering that. But I'm sure if you haven't looked already, here's a couple places I would recommend. Boom.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, maybe even early on in Fairwinds and pre-Fairwinds, whatever it was that I could try to do to get them to stay, I would do. And regardless of like
at the expense of everything else.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're just chasing every dog in the yard.
Right. And it's like, okay, do you want to do like a 30-minute like mobility class every week? Because I'll do that. And really in the back of my mind is like, I don't want to do that. Do you
see how that is by default you trading time for not even their money, but just because you're not making them pay anymore for those services. You're just trading time for attention at that point.
And because what I'm probably trying to do there is like, well, if I can keep them, I can help them figure out where the value actually is. And that's the person that's like in a crappy relationship with somebody, hoping that they can change them. That's the you know, the woman dating a married man saying like, I think I can like, this is way overloaded, but it's like,
why's it got to be the woman?
I can get him to change his mind and come to me, right? Like it's no, like you don't have what it is that they're actually looking for, so let it go. And so that's where part of it is, and part of the practice coming down to like, what is it that I want to offer? What is it that I actually value? And if they can clearly say, and sometimes too, it's just clear like I can't offer that, and so I can let that go. I want a 12 o'clock class time. Well, maybe I can offer a 12 o'clock class time at some point, but I'm not there now. But you know,
that's a good question. Do you know what you offer?
Do I know what I offer or what I have to offer?
And I don't mean you, because it's not really a question of like your classes now. Like, fuck, you've been doing this long enough. Like, you know, right? Like, there's always room for you to improve, all of us to improve in that capacity. But right, like from the standpoint of the equivalent of, right, there's that stat out that eventually money can't buy happiness once you hit like 120 or 150K a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's sort of, and actually I think the number's even lower, but you know what I'm talking about. Like everybody's seen that study that came out or whatever. So in a sense, like you can't necessarily get any better as a coach. You can.
Yeah.
But like your offered experience to members in your class are at what they're going to be. At this point, any sort of professional improvement in your like tactical, in the moment coaching is simply for the sake of like, hey, everybody benefits from continuing to get better and better and better. Mm-hmm. But like the class is always going to be at like a, you know, aggregate 90% happiness value. That's pretty damn good. Right. So like you could feasibly go take a level 3 or even a level 4. Maybe you don't pass, but you're going to be better than, 60. I don't forget what the pass, like, I think you got to get like an 80% or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I'm sort of saying is like, does that translate to an infinitely better class experience for the people in the class? I'm not sure anyone's shown that, right? Like that's sort of the sense of, so like always keep getting better. But what I'm offering I'm not asking that question from the standpoint of like, what do you, Eric Hoyp, in the moment of a class offer? I'm saying you, owner of Fairwinds CrossFit, what do you as like a entity offer?
World-class fitness and a freaking fun time. There you go.
How do I charge for that? And what is world-class? Like, define world-class fitness.
It's funny, like, because that's the common with Affiliate U, like building world-class affiliates and world-class coaches, right? Like they use those terms a lot. Like, what really defines world-class? And like, who do you? I mean, you could go box to box and see where we compare to every other box in the world, or just the other boxes in Annapolis.
What metrics do you use for that?
Right,
for that comparison.
I think it's very subjective, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it could be until it becomes objective. Is it memberships? Is it retention rate? Is it open performance, open participation? Right. So that's I guess the subjectivity is in what metrics you want to use, but at some point it does become objective once those metrics are chosen, because then it's like, okay, well, we're going to use, we're all going to measure ourselves by the same standards at that point. Like, it is an objective measurement. And so that's sort of, if I'm making a claim, right? What did we used to say? Like, we are the number one CrossFit affiliate at what's the address?
7364, yeah.
7364 Edgewood Road. The number one CrossFit affiliate.
The number one affiliate.
At 31 degrees, 18.4 minutes. Latitude.
South of Forest Drive. On Back Creek.
You can just
just
get it as narrow as you need to, baby. Number one.
You're number one, baby.
I'm the number one CrossFitter on a Tuesday at 9:45 at 3102 Urban Court.
It's like, I swear to God, every
until
car,
Matt comes into the gym.
I feel like every car brand has some JD Power and Associates like award, and I'm like, are they giving out the same award to everybody? Like, or is it like one is for this and one is for this? Why do I feel like they all have the same award?
So do you notice how in that the tagline, it's comparative. Mm-hmm. World-class fitness is basically saying, like, compare us to somebody else and we are better. It's superlative in the sense of like, so the value is solely comparative.
Yeah.
But then there's a absence of context to what and who you are comparing yourself. Yeah. So it's an empty kind of absurd language. And that's kind of I would come back like, but what do you offer? Like, what is it that you actually offer? Like, okay, fun time. So we'll just stick there. Well, what
I could have fun time at San and Joe's on karaoke night.
Hey, like, what constitutes a fun time? Yeah. How will you dissect that or know when it stops being a fun time? Is it just when somebody leaves? Are there points? Are there like trigger points along the way to know, like, oh shit, we got to tweak this left, right, whatever, because people aren't having fun anymore? Is it just attendance?
I can tell you could probably be in the middle of 100 burpee box jump overs tomorrow. It's probably somewhere in there.
But I mean, that's so in a sense, like, that is kind of a fun time, right? That is because it's that's what I'm asking. You can make anything fun.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how is that process curated to have kind of that shared communal sense of the experience being fun? Because then somebody, when they suggest that they don't want to do it anymore, or I take it away. No, I'm not. Don't take that away from me. Whoa. Now maybe you offer them the opportunity of like, oh, so you do want this, right? So that's my like world class fitness. I have no idea what that means. And a fun time, I don't really know what that means either.
Yeah, it's Andy, you can make anything fun except for $150.
But so he's wrong, right? Because I would offer that that maybe if you have to do them by yourself, but what if we made it a team of 3 and you have to get them done at a certain point, or right? Like, so some people would enjoy the competition if you like pour in a little bit of a competitive aspect. Some people would enjoy the I'm going to make them like, you have to do the first 40 by this time, and then you get a 1 minute break. Then you have to do the next 30 by this time. Then you get a 1 minute break, and then you got to do the next 20 at this time. Still a little bit of competitive, but I'm not going to make it competitive against everybody else, right? Sort of the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 calorie row today, right? Like that in itself is, they're doing 150 calorie row for time, basically. Yeah. But if I said we're going to do 150 calorie row for time, oh, that's the worst. But if I say, okay, you're going to do the 50 calorie row, and I don't want you to go faster than this, then I want you to do the 40 calorie row, and I want you to be 5% faster. Then at 30 calorie row, I want you to be 15% faster. 20 calorie row, I want you to be 20% faster. 10 calorie row,
send it.
Governor's off. Go for broke, right? Like, so that now all of a sudden they did 150 calorie row. They're like, oh, it was actually kind of cool. And I looked at times because we had 80, 70, 60, 50, 40.
Yeah, that was
horrible, but it wasn't that bad because they set it up. They were like, do not exceed. If you rode this during the open workout, do not exceed this calories per hour for the 80, 70. Then you need to be between this and this for the 60 and the 50. 40 and 30, kind of, you got to play it by ear. 2010, go for broke.
See ya.
It's totally made, like, I was on the 50 and I was like, oh, I'm exhausted, but I can keep doing this. And then I looked at the guys' scores for 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 from the gym, and I was like, fuck it. Then I went, but I had done 210 calories already.
Way boring.
Right. Trying to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
Right? All of a sudden, that was mayhem remotely making something miserable, 150 or 360 calorie row on an erg, kind of fun today. How did they do that? They did that because of an intention, a clarity of purpose, and then a consistency in execution, right? Like when I go to SugarWOD, I know they figured this out. And then I watched it in progress during the quarterfinals. They were a mess because it was the first time they've kind of had to deal with like different tracks happening in the compete. And people are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Tell me what to do. So now they have a new thread, order of programming. You click on it and it tells you if you're the quarterfinals, follow it in this order. If you're the semis, follow it in this order. If you're an open, follow it in this order. That way, because they've got multiple people messing with the programming in there. So sometimes somebody puts it in, somebody puts something in, and then it's not like cleanly in the right order.
Right.
They went, well, that's going to be impossible to manage. But what I can manage is I'm just going to, the person who's kind of the lead just writes that one tab, puts it at the top. And here's me, dummy, in the morning. What am I supposed to do? Oh, order of programming. Oh, it's great. And then I can just scroll because we all know how to scroll. And I can scroll down to where I look. And I'm like, oh. So they went from this could have been an absolute shit show and they lost customers to like, oh, this is amazing. Clarity of purpose, specific intention, consistency and execution. Like that, to me, there's something there to offer to somebody like, hey, do you like things clearly laid out for you? Yeah. Well, we do that. Look, here's SugarWOD. Do you like a consistency of product? Like when you go to Starbucks and you order your double matcha latte, right? Like
again, you said consistency of
execution,
clarity of message, clarity of purpose or intent.
Yeah. Well, purpose and intention different. I would offer. I would suggest.
you say something different? You said
I think something about intention. So maybe
Yeah.
just like transparency and intention, or
Yeah.
specific intention, clarity of purpose, but that consistency of execution. And as long as like all three of those have at least, and people make mistakes,
Yes,
right? Like
everyone
it
had that.
sometimes goes
Yeah.
on and off, but like
That was boom. Yeah, because I like that, because that's I mean, right there, like I like that, because that's you right now, like just taking that, you just kind of put it like, this is what we offer.
Yeah.
Right. And this is, and like, and those things, and in these things, maybe you find fun. Maybe you find that world-class fitness you're looking for.
You got it.
World-class might be for you.
That's the Glassman, right? If you chase the money, you're never going to get there. But if you chase excellence along the road, you get pretty damn good. And people recognize good. Now, his conversation, people have like torn that apart from things like 09 or 10 when he was at the War College, and he laid it out in a diagram. They're like, how do I monetize that? Like, that's just, it's like, look, it wasn't a business lecture. He was talking about philosophy. He was considering the nature of man, or the nature of humans.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we don't actually want to chase money, because money doesn't mean anything. Its power comes from its opportunities of access that it offers us. That's it. Like, it is an artificial medium to exchange consumable and perishable goods.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, money is important in the game that we've all agreed to play in, but it's not the thing that actually gives that sense of meaning. That comes from something else. And he was offering, in his frame of his context of scope of profession, excellence in movement. Like, that's it. Like, if you strive towards being the most excellent coach because you can get somebody to move as perfectly as possible, they're going to pay you a shitload of money to do that, because it yields so many benefits that are both tangible and intangible. Right. And so that's it. Like, but okay, now operationalize that for me. How do I pay my rent? Who do I pay? Who do I get to mop my floor? Who cleans my bathroom? How do I get a coach to do that better? Like, blah, 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 blah.
Because there has to be money for me to be able to have the place to do this thing to yield these results.
Right. And so what he often offered was, you're too big. You should have started, like, cat's out of the bag now, but like, start with one person and like do that for a couple months, and then tell them to bring a friend, and then do that for a couple months, and then tell them to bring 3 friends, and then do that for the next 5 years. Then once you've outgrown the little shack that you're in, and 3 of them have said, dude, I can't fit in here anymore, go look for a new space. Then when you're like busting out of it, open up the new space. Like, what, like, and again, like a very, very simplistic and kind of bucolic, romanticized version of sort of how this goes. There are other ways. And the folks who have spent the time, Chris Cooper, Affiliate U, the Getting Faster, like all those coaching businesses that are out there, because this isn't rocket science. Like, they've looked at it and be like, yeah, that is one way, but there are other ways. In the end, what they all come back to is a consistently excellent product of coaching offered by a dedicated professional is like kind of the only way to separate yourself in this model from all the other models that are out there.
Yeah.
And right, like, we have a sauna. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
we got fresh towels.
That's why we do have fresh towels.
Our markers always work. Oh wait, no, they don't.
I was like, look, people, we're not gonna have different colored markers anymore. We're gonna have just black markers, but I promise you they will always work, because I bought 75 of them for the cost of the colored Expo, 12 of the colored Expo.
Put that goddamn cat back on that fucking marker.
Someone who might be listening to this podcast may have had their lid off a marker, and you know who you are, yesterday during Half Murph.
Put a fucking line on the whiteboard and swipe it with your finger. Give me that marker back. I will give it back to you, and you can write your time down when you're done.
My value as a coach ties into I'm tired of replacing dry erase markers. No,
you are punished. You aren't allowed to use chalk. Jack, you're not allowed to punish the members.
Oh, that's right.
They're not your children.
Darn.
You shouldn't punish your children either.
Oh, hold on. I need to get Fee out of the closet. Hang on. Whoops. Forgot she was in there.
You can take that hood off, turn away from the wall, go play.
You come out of this drawer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can just see her emerging out. I'm done, Daddy.
Yeah. Oh man. That kid.
But those are again, like that's all nice, esoteric philosophy of like, oh yeah, it's good. But like, what's that actually look like? You got to practice. Like that's practicing of the conversation, and then like a little bit of self work in the sense of like actually believing it. And then I think of this where the coaches of Josh's baseball team are really good at what they do, and they are not winning. They are 2-10 for the season. There was a lot of like excitement of expectation of winning this season. But I will tell you, I think the coaches knew that the team was going to be better than it's been in the past, but it's still playing really good baseball teams.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we don't care what the score is at the end of any game. We actually don't even care if we have a winning season. We want one. We are going to strive for it. We are like our goal, one of our goals is to be one of the best baseball teams in our county league or whatever. But they said, what's more important to us is that your sons are better baseball players at the end of the season. And when their time is done with us, they are better young men. And if they want to play baseball in the next level, we are part of that process to help facilitate it with you and with them. And we will never lie to you. We will be fully transparent with what we think. Like we have over 100 years of baseball experience between the coaches up here standing here. We will tell you, if asked, what we think is a best fit for your player, for your son, and what they could do next. And I'm like, that's legit. Like, I appreciate what they're saying. For the last 2 months, I've watched it in action. They get frustrated, right? Like they were winning a game 5-0, 5-1. They ended up losing like 10-6 or something, or 11-6. It was one inning, right? Like, and one of the coaches, we were sitting by the fence. He's like, "You guys got anything? Anything? What are we doing? What are we missing? This is killing me. I love these kids. I can't believe it." And he was like, just saying it to us as the parents. This is Coach Bill. He's awesome. Like he is hilarious. But he just needed to vent it, right? And he turns around. He's like, "All right, come on, boys. Like he's like, we can't yell at them because they're fucking working their asses off. But God dang it, like make the play." And he's right. But they're 16, 17, 15, right? Like it's phenomenal to watch because and here's what my point is, they know and have a personal sense and a personal clarity on what their purpose and their job is in that role as a coach. It is not to win a state championship. That would be great. That is a byproduct of them effectively accomplishing what they have stated is their job.
Yeah.
Right. And I think of like even the Friday Night Lights and Coach Taylor, like that sort of fictional version of this too.
Yeah.
Like you think of the
Ted Lasso.
Sport. Yeah, Ted Lasso, exactly. Yeah. Like, and well, in a sense, like there's that moment when Coach Beard at the bar, like in one of the first or second, is it first season? Right. He's like, when these were college kids, Beard like kind of gets him.
Season,
he's like, these are professional athletes. Like they get paid to win. You need to shift your mindset. And Ted does a little bit, right? In the moment, like but they still get relegated that year. But so it's that balance. But again, that balance comes from constantly assessing or sort of doing your self work of like, hey, this is what you are, who you are, and what you offer. And then that way I would say that allows you to better answer that question of like, what is the value of this gym? And to me, fuck, man, $225 a month is like chump change to get what potentially that place can offer somebody.
Yeah. And that's where I put it on the, I was having the conversation with last week about, the coaches and we have this coaching development program, and like, we have this really great resource available to us that, you and I didn't have outside of read the L1 and just get on the floor and coach.
Well, you can do it on your own, right? Like I've read all of Coop's books. I watched those videos, but yes, you're right. It wasn't as you've expended the money to make that available to your people.
Yeah.
That is something that our former bosses did not.
Yeah. And so when I see like, I even have it uploaded. I want to kind of go through it. I want to put Ariel on the spot, but like, I have you take.
Unless you asked her permission, don't do it. Unless you asked her permission, don't do it.
It's all fair game. Well, I've already watched it, and Ackerman's going to be watching it too. But yeah, it's when it's one of those things too. I have you put yourself on camera. I asked you to put yourself on camera, and I want you to, you can. It was funny. I asked her. It was pick a movement, coach, and her thing to focus on was like focus on one thing, right? Like just pick one thing. Focus on one thing. Don't worry about everything else. And she did it once with Colin, her husband, and you could tell she was like nervous and overthinking it, and she was like kind of losing her words and her thoughts. And I'm watching, I'm like, she's a much better coach than this. Like, what is like? And she told me later, like she was like thinking about it on the car ride, and then she like practiced it with him before class, and then she taught class, and they did the workout, and then she did it with him, and then she recorded herself after class. At this point too, like Ellie's running around, and Colin is tired, and she's probably a little burnt too, and
right.
She's overthought it, and she's a perfectionist. Unprompted, she did it again, and she took Juliana and Bethany, and she did it with them, and she just hit record and went so much better. And it's like, there's Ariel, like that's the coach, and there she is, like like obviously she has things to work on, right? Like we all do, and but it's like there it is, and even I like even too that she grabbed a couple members and said, I really want to practice the thing. Why? Because I want to be better at this thing. And this is for me to get better. And they see that too. And they see like, here's the work that your coaches are putting in on a weekly basis, daily basis to be the best that they can to give you the best product that's out there. And so it's one of those two, like, yeah, like I like when they do that, because then the members they see it when they show up to class, but then they even see here, it's not just the hour they're there and the hour that they leave. There's a lot outside of that they put into it. And so, yeah. And that, again, going back to that, like that clarity of purpose and the consistency of execution, exactly what you said, like the purpose is to be the best coach that they possibly can be. And that they're practicing. And just like every day, like coaching is a practice. And so
there's even a dissection, right? You can dissection that clarity of purpose, be the best coach you can be. How would I measure that, Eric? Are there metrics that somebody's written down for me, 6 of them, that I could use to measure my performance, to say if I'm getting better, good, better, best version of my coaching ability?
Yeah, it's snatch weight, clean and jerk weight, Fran time, bicep size.
Do you have a form that I could fill out after do like a self-assessment after each class to like see where I land, and then be able to track those forms and then see progression or change over time of that performance. And then that way, at the end of a quarter, right, at the end of a quarter, somebody objectively, externally could then assess my performance and see where I'm doing. So like measure, observe, repeat, in a sense.
We do have that. Where have I heard that before?
It's so weird. And then that consistency of execution, again, like that's not a good luck chasing that, right? This, I think of a lot of the weight loss apps that are out there, or health measurement apps that are out there, they're going away from linear tracking of weight because of all the variables. Like, so Noom, this one, Macro Factors, a couple other ones that are out there. They all have their own proprietary algorithms, but they basically all do the same thing. Because what time of day? What's the weather like? Have you peed? Have you pooped? What was your macro count before you weighed yourself the day before? And then, right. So it totally has, if you just go off of like number and you don't take into account any of those other variables, good luck seeing consistency without zooming out like 4 years. And that's just, our brain can't comprehend that much time. We are a day to day to day to day. So if you're looking for consistency of execution in this context every single day, good luck.
Yeah.
But across if I have this clarity of purpose, right? So you gave Ariel great, I would say very good direction of focus on one thing. So for this week, her focus is the squat. Okay, well, squat has points of performance. It has primary cues. It has primary faults. She's only focusing on the squat throughout the week. That's a clarity of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that habituation of clarity of purpose, the secondary, tertiary effects will be seeing, cueing, redirecting, seeing, cueing, teaching, seeing, teaching, cueing, what's the personal presence, or right? What's the presence one?
Presence and attitude.
Presence and attitude, right? Yeah. Because she gets more confident in it. So by like Thursdays and Fridays, where normally you'd be exhausted, you're like, I'm fucking nailing this squat. And people are like, my squat has never felt this good. I still look like a train wreck on push press. But you're like, dude, next week. We'll hit one next week, right? But the consistency of execution has already started to materialize or manifest because of that clarity of purpose and the habituation of the coaching professionalism. That, right? So it's that they work in tandem. You try and chase one thing, you're gonna freaking miss it. It's like looking at the sun. You can't look at the sun for too long, you're gonna go blind. But I can like look over here and look over here and look over here, and eventually I know what the sun looks like, but I never actually like looked directly at it.
I'll have my cornea and retina intact.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I got a really nice tan.
That you did.
Andy right now is like, yeah, man, I got a good, yeah.
Andy's like, what are you talking about? I can look at the sun. I can't look at the sun. I can't look at the sun.
But so you got to own that though, right? Like, and that's the how willing are you to hear back from a coach that same level of transparency that you asked of the client, right? Because if you ask the coach, like, what do you want out of this? And they say something and you're like, shit, that's not what I need from you. Still looking. That's because that man is a quasar double pulsar red giant.
That man has a clarity and purpose. He will stare at the sun as long as he can.
But do you know what I mean? Like that, like that, how willing are you to ask the new coach of, all right, man, like what makes this worth it to you? And if their answer is, I got a free membership, like, oh, that's it? Like, what else? Like, I want to change people's lives. Okay, well, what does that look like? You know, like, so like getting them to nail down that clarity of purpose and like what exactly their intention here is and what do they want. And then you offering them like, okay, well, this is what I expect. This is what I need. This is what I'm going to hold you accountable to. Then in that consistency of execution, when they fail to meet it, is there sort of a, hey, what's going on? Like, why aren't you meeting it? Your committed club to me is sort of a similar accountability process for the members of like, hey, you said you wanted X, Y, and Z at the end of 3 months. We talked about that a couple of, like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
You come 9 times a month. That's less than 3 times a week. You're not going to get out of this what you told me you wanted.
Yeah.
So do you really want that?
Yeah. I do, Jack.
Well, that, right. So that's sort of that's the forever asking, right? Forever iterative process of asking that question. Like, you know, what's that look like for you? That's the self work too. I mean, you don't have to answer this, on the spot, but like, what do you want out of the gym? Like, what is it actually? Is it right? And some people, I've heard them on Best Hour of the Day, and they just say like, I just wanted a business. Like and it was great and it was fun, but I kind of just wanted a business out of it. And so what was like a 19-hour a day labor of love, they turned it into they're only there 4 or 5 hours a week, but they don't really know everything that happens in the gym. But because they put processes and systems in place, but they're not as intimately involved anymore in the day-to-day lives because that's been supplanted or replaced by somebody else filling kind of that role.
Yeah.
Like, is that a real goal? Like, okay, well, if that is, then how do you get there? What's that actually look like? And that quickly stops becoming personal, right? Like you stop becoming the most important thing in everybody's life.
Yeah. Which I'm okay with eventually. Not yet. Not yet. I'm not there yet. Cool.
Would you join a CrossFit gym?
Would I join one?
Mm-hmm.
I would. It's funny. I was just I was talking to Meg today about how, when I first started CrossFit, and I saw the price, and I was like, oh, that's way more expected than I thought. This was after like I tried going through 12 labors, like, well, that was way more than I can afford. But then I found Old Bay, and it's like, well, that's still like feels really expensive. But I got to the point where it's like, I'm going to figure out whatever it is I need to do to make sure that I can do this thing. It's going through the bank account. I was like, well, if I cut this, I'll drop this, I'll drop this, I'll drop this. And so sometimes it's hard for me when people are like, I need to cut things and CrossFit makes the cut or CrossFit gets cut. And I'm like, why would you not try to figure out? But again, everyone's different, right? So
that is a great question. Like, would you mind sharing with me what the gym didn't match? Like, what was
the first thing I looked at on my bank account was how much was I eating out? Well, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Like over the course of a month, I just paid for like more than half of the membership, right? Yeah. And so it's like what is there that you find, what is it that you find makes that cut that CrossFit doesn't? And is that really getting you to where you want to get?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, like if I were, like I joined CrossFit because I wanted to be coached. I wanted to learn how to do these things. Like I wanted to learn how to deadlift. I wanted to learn how to do a clean and jerk because I'd never really done them before. I liked working out with people and I liked the community side of it. I liked being with people, whether I was competing with them or not. I liked that energy of it. So I think if I didn't own an affiliate, I would probably find one to join. I'd probably still have stuff at home because having 3 kids makes it hard to get to the gym and find the schedule that works, but I would still try to figure it out as best I could. And I think that's where the conversation where Meg and I were having about, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, a lot of people just didn't have a choice. They couldn't go to a gym or they, so they got the stuff and they did it at home. But now here we are, things are open. So are people really taking advantage? Are people really working out at home? Are they getting the most out of it? And are they really getting where they want to go? Where's the value in? Well, if I join the gym, yeah, I still want to get better at this thing, but I also still want to be part of that group because I'm a social butterfly.
Yeah.
And I need to spread my wings, baby. So yeah, I mean, I have equipment here and I work out here when I need to, but I never push myself as hard, and I probably don't move as well as I would if someone were watching me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me. If you ever want to join a box again, there's one right up the street from you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. for only $16 a class.
There you go.
You come 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Or 14 times a month.
So I look at that as all of what you said, I do agree with. So often we make the analogy of CrossFit to like restaurants or food, right? Like, you don't go to a barbecue place and order spaghetti and meatballs. People would be like, that's ridiculous. It's a barbecue place. Get brisket, get pulled pork, right? Like, so that idea of like, you don't come to CrossFit to do fucking yoga, right? Like, if you want to do yoga, go to the yoga studio.
Go to yoga.
Yeah, exactly. Like this idea of like the one-stop shop, like that's Sam's Club. Go to Sam's Club and get your, floating movie screen and eggs and a,
floating movie screen.
Oh yeah, they have a movie screen, like a blow up movie screen.
Oh yeah. That would be awesome.
Right. So, for me, I look at it as, people really like sushi. I will eat sushi if like we're going out to get sushi. Sushi. I think of Monsters Inc. But if left to my own choices, and I never eat sushi again, I don't care. Like, it's not something, right? But like, we go somewhere and somebody's like, oh my God, you got to try this. This is the greatest thing ever. Cool, right? Like, I'll do it. But I'm not going to hunt out like a top end sushi restaurant.
I feel the same way about crabs.
Right, exactly.
People from Maryland hear me.
Same here, right, man? Like that, fun, cool experience. Breaking up the crabs, eating or whatever. But
You'll
it's
never
like,
hear me ask for crabs.
Yeah, like that's funny. Should really use protection. I mean, like a bib, like put a bib on.
Right.
You don't want to mess up your shirt.
Right.
But I feel the CrossFit class experience for me is very much like my analogy or my example of sushi.
Yeah.
It's not something that I like wake up like, man, I really miss the class experience. Like, man, like it's just not, it's not something I find in the moment enjoyable, nor kind of afterwards. And if it's for the socialization aspect, like, let's just go get coffee and hang out, or go to dinner, or come over to my house and hang out. Like, and it's not even that I'm like, agoraphobic and don't want to go out of the house. Like, I love going to my classes on Mondays and Thursday nights. And I went out with a group of folks last night afterwards and we chatted and stuff. Like, so it's not a social aspect, and it's not the sense of like, well, I'm an introvert and it's too many people. Like, I've thought about that. It's not, I think it's just in the sense of a movement practice and working out. I more enjoy and find more compliance with the flexibility of being able to do it on my own schedule with my own thing. And right, like, I have folks I go back and forth with of like, how was that? What is it? I don't want to talk to them that much about it either. Like, it's sort of it's an individual pursuit for me.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I like the being able to check out and just go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to have to think about it that much. I think.
I got you. Yeah.
Because there's plenty of times too. Like, I know it's important to log your scores, but sometimes like I'll like write it on the board and I'll leave the gym and I'll be like, I don't even remember. But that's not like, there's plenty of times where I want to know, but there's plenty of times too, like, that's not why I came.
Yeah.
And so, so there's people that I totally get when they're like, I don't really log my score. I don't care. I'm like, I get that. Totally get that. But they keep coming back because they're enjoying, they know they're doing what they need to do to reach the goals that they want to reach. And they're just not necessarily like a fitness specific related goal, like a faster Fran or a stronger clean and jerk. So anyway, cool. I love CrossFit. You like CrossFit?
I do like CrossFit.
Keep it around for a while.
Yeah. Been doing a lot of bodybuilding stuff though.
It shows, man.
This cycle. We're we're in week 2 of 12. A lot of like buys, tries, pull downs. I had to figure out like a lat pull down rig. Work around and stuff. So there's
so many like jerry rigging ways to like.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, that it's very deliberate and specific of why. I mean, we still snatched. We did hang pause power snatches instead of you guys did the pools and stuff. So similarity of tracks and things and intention, but it's right.
That was my tweaking the programming a little bit, doing some complexes instead of the 3 sets and 3 sets from a like, how can I, so it was like 3 sets of power snatch and 3 sets of overhead squat.
Oh, gotcha.
How can I make a little bit more time for actual coaching and not just fill every minute with something?
Cool.
So turn into a complex that still works kind of the same things.
There you go.
Gives more time for the thing. So that's tweaking of the program on my end.
Yeah, that's the sauce, man. That's the magic. That's the art of it. You know your people and you know what is going to work for them. So I totally agree. Yeah.
It's fun. Cool. What's your gratitude for the week, my friend?
I am so it was like a Matt Damon moment of
Matt Damon
in Good Will Hunting. So it's a Good Will Hunting moment of the when Robin Williams' character asks him like who are the people, he's challenging him of like he's not fulfilling his potential, not because it's not worth it, but because he's afraid to fail. Right. Yeah. Like that sense of, and so like, well, who's the people that like really blow your hair back and really get you excited? And he lists out like all these dead famous philosophers and political scientists and stuff. And Robin Williams like, yeah, but they can't talk back to you. They can't challenge you. And he goes, yeah, not without some, really good heaters and smelling salts or something, whatever. Yeah. But right. Like that moment of the Will reflecting on the fact that yes, those writers can challenge you, but then Sean saying, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you like, who are you actually being vulnerable with? Right. And anyway, so we read Jean-Jacques Rousseau for yesterday's class, and in the scope or in the sort of trajectory of political science philosophers, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Rousseau, they're kind of like the big 3 post-Enlightenment kind of era. Rousseau is the most antithetical to those two. So Hobbes and Locke differ a little bit, but in the sense like they share kind of the sense of how they see the nature of man. It's very analytical. They kind of feel like you can get there through logical reasoning to kind of come to some sort of like first principle states of the nature of man than the state of nature. And Rousseau is much more there's a sense there's something else that he's doing. I effing hated it. Like, absolutely. I'm reading it. I'm like, who the fuck? What? And then so he wrote it for like an essay contest, right? He was submitting it to the Geneva Convention and he lost. So I was like, this essay sucks. It sucks so bad. Like, it sucks. I'm reading it and he lost. Bullshit. Stuff is horrible. So like I'm going into class just like whatever. Rousseau sucked. This is the worst. And I really did like I was holding myself accountable to be like, look, dude, I've heard Dax Shepard say it on his podcast of like, you don't have to be the star of this show. Like, this is a good movie. You can just watch the movie for a little bit and just shut the fuck up. Right? Just watch the movie. And so I did in the class. Like I asked a question or two, or I just like, would get clarification. Like I wasn't checked out from the discussion, 2-hour discussion. I was in it. I just watched and I was fascinated that we actually got to a point, and I'm stuck with it now too. Like it's really like crap. Like there is really something going on with Rousseau that like, it's not him. It's maybe my lack of imagination, my inability to like grasp what exactly he's talking about. I don't really know what it is either. Like, and I even expressed it like at the very end. So my gratitude is for this constant and perpetual, like, if you're willing to let life offer it to you, like, you don't know shit yet. None of us do. Like, you may think you've come to some sort of answer on something, but guess what? If you just give yourself 30 seconds to maybe let go of all the shit you think you know and just look at something from a different perspective, you're going to go, ah, crap. I don't know anything again. And it's very...
I don't know anything again.
I don't know anything again. I'm an idiot again, right? It's that mastery curve of like being a beginner again. And I like leaned into that last night, and I was so uncomfortable and so irritated and so just wanted to be like, you're all wrong. He's wrong. They're all wrong. But they weren't. It's not, because there is no wrong or right. It's just it's just a thought experiment. And like if you lean into it and you kind of like let it wash over you, the next question is, oh crap. Does this then allow for maybe an idea or a perspective that I had no idea I wasn't seeing? And that's like, holy shit moment of damn. And so that's my gratitude, is that like faith or kind of willingness to sort of like, there will be the moment of uncomfortableness, but just trust that on the other end of that, or at the end of it, there is sort of that just infinitely rewarding sense of not awareness, but just sort of like, and not even relief, but just like, isn't that fascinating? Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was it. That was kind of a long one, but yeah. So thanks, Russo.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, he lost. Yeah. Can we go back to he lost?
He lost. He didn't even win the essay contest.
Listen, you're talking about this guy didn't even win.
They laughed at him. They said, "You're an idiot. Here's your essay back." Sucked. That's right. Actually, I said it before we went to class. I was like, you know what it seemed to me is you just needed a much better editor, right? Like he's all over the place. There's inconsistencies.
Probably wasn't an MLA format. He probably lost.
No, like in one, like 10 pages, one spot. It's like, dude, if you go back and read yourself from 10 pages ago, you're not even saying the same thing. You're contradicting yourself in your own essay.
Yeah. That's cool. Mine is this wonderful spring we're having.
Oh, it cool. Is, man.
Like, honestly, I love now that we have this covered porch, and I just love like, like just sit out there and like the fan is blowing and just sit on the table while the kids are running around the backyard, and just being able to just sit and just like, it's so like being outside. Again, the bugs aren't a thing yet, but they will be. But God, I'm just so happy out there. I'm just so happy sitting out there, doing nothing, like just watching. So happy out there. So I love.
That's cool.
That's my gratitude, is just being able to sit and do that. And then at some point a kid starts crying, because if there's 3 kids, there's a 90% chance that one of them will be crying any minute now.
Yeah, 66%, man. 66%.
Yeah.
It's a passing grade. It's
a
high B. Hell yeah. You're lucky. You're lucky if you only got one of them on. If you got one of them miserable at a time, piece of cake. You're winning.
Doing right. I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's horrible. You're in the moment. You're in a moment of crisis, and it's the worst thing imaginable. But you're winning.
It is what it is, man. I signed up for it. I knew what I signed up for the most part.
So when's the 4th one coming?
Well, I will. In all honesty, we haven't ruled out number 4, but it's definitely not on our radar right now. So we're not definitively saying no number 4, but we are saying we're not even talking about it. And by talking, you know what I mean.
Man, this just made me tired. I gotta go take a nap. Just talking about this.
I just love our kids so much. Like they're such cool little people, and it's I can't get enough of them. So
yeah.
So,
well, you got to have one more, because now one of them needs to be named after a famous wrestler.
Yeah. I mean,
right now, Meg is coming out of her chair like, what the trying to turn this off. Do not.
This is Fiona. This is Everett. This is Axel. This is The Rock. I want to introduce you to The Rock, Hulk, Batista,
Jimmy Fly Snuka.
Superfly. That's totally a kid's name.
Superfly,
Jimmy Snuka.
And they come every time they come in the room from the top rope.
Right. Madison Square Garden, from the top of the cage, baby.
That's right, baby. That's not. That's when I actually watched wrestling.
I think he also murdered a pregnant girlfriend of his.
Oh my gosh.
Things got weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like too like ravaged with dementia to be even able to like put on trial, and then he died.
Dope.
So apparently there were some skeletons in Superfly's closet. So oh well. But hey, top rope from the cage, top of the cage, Madison Square Garden.
Excellence comes at a price, man.
Hey.
That's the theme here. That's the title. That's right. Excellence comes at a price.
Excellence, the one where excellence comes at a price. Cool. All right, brother.
All right, dude. This was fun.
Bye, Andy. Bye, Andy, and whoever viewer number 2 is.
He probably lunch was over. He had to get back to the salt mines.
Oh, there you go. Back to the salt mines. Go back to the sun.